this principle of community-driven development, and today we'll discuss about the community participation. And because you see, last 40 years mostly, the community participation is predominantly taking the major place in any kind of development projects. So that's why it is high time now to look into very critically what exactly that community participation, and also in the later on we'll discuss if last 40 years in all our development approach, the community driven development approach has taken as major space, or we have given emphasis on community participation, then why the community participation has not succeeded in giving justice to the all development projects? What exactly the lacuna is still continuing in our approach of community participation, for which most of the project which has given emphasis on community participation has not succeeded in making the people and bringing the people into one platform and mobilizing the people to participate in the development projects. See, the main thrust, what was exactly the main thrust of people's participation or community participation? The main thrust was to create an opportunity which will enable all the members of a particular community that which can actively contribute and can influence the entire development process in order to share the fruits of development equitably. Because the main thrust was, if everybody in a community will be involved in a development projects, then the fruits of development can be equally shared. But what was the main things happening? The main concern was that if prior to this involvement of the community, the main thrust was that the fruits of development is being hijacked by few. Means the voice of minority has hijacked the voice of majority. Here I am not telling about minority and majority in the sense of community. I am telling you, if you look into this elite group, the elite groups are minority in nature. They are very few in numbers. If you look at the rich is not the more, rich is few, but the poor are many. But in reality, what is happening? The few rich have hijacked the property of many poor. That is the major problem in our society throughout the globe. So that's why the main thrust of this, or the main objective of this community participation is how we can create an opportunity which will enable each and every members of a community to actively contribute and also to influence the development process, so that the fruits of development can be equally shared. Whether it is forest management policy, whether it is water users groups, in anywhere, this is exactly the happens. Then what exactly that participation? Participation is a completely kind of decentralized process. Here, the main intention is how we can properly distribute the resources and create the circumstances where the kind of bureaucratic mindset will be break down, and the bottom-up approach will be in a more influencing situation. Means here the people will get an opportunity to be involved in the process of decision making, which is very, very important, because the major problem what exactly happened in SDD or supply driven development, that the decision is to be decided by somebody and the execution is to be by somebody, and the final recipient are somebody. which is the major problem we have. So that's why it is high time to look into everything very critical way, that we should develop our approach in such a way that where each and every community, the members of a community can get a chance in the process of decision making process and develop a sense of ownership to the entire projects. Through that, what will happen? The project can sustain, because ultimate aim of the project is to sustain. The ultimate aim of bringing the people into a platform, enhancing the community participation, encouraging the community participation, is to sustain the projects. So participation of the peoples in all programs, generally what happen, whether it is rural development, urban development, or tribal development, it becomes a prerequisite now. Through that, what will happen? Because you see, last 20 years, the main thrust of all development approaches we are keep on telling social exclusion and inclusive growth. When I am telling about inclusive growth, our major thrust is how we can, those who were socially excluded, means the marginal communities, including the women, minorities, SC, ST, all, how we can bring them into one platform, how we can include them in the process of development, how we can include their voice in the process of decision making. That is very, very important. Means in any process of development, nobody should feel marginal. Nobody should be marginalized, because the marginalization of marginal community cannot be tolerated no more, because it is high time where the policies should be more inclusive, where we should be more gender sensitive, caste sensitive, minority sensitive, where we can develop a kind of atmosphere where the human beings can survive in a community in a more harmonious way, rather than creating a kind of hatredness. So you see, people's participation can be convinced as a human process, where the people generally for whom this development project is intended should be part of this process. Because if something is going to happen in my area where my livelihood is going to be affected, whether it is positively or negatively, so I should be part of that decision making process. Because if I can part of a decision making process, then what will happen? Then the things can be better understood. Suppose you see, whenever we take all this decision in the Senate related to academic decision, which is exclusively for the betterment of the students, we have two students representative, one from UG levels and one from PG level. We have two student representatives. We always honor the voice of the students, because it is a democratic process, and we always honor the decentralized process of development, because all of you know that 73rd Amendment Act came during 1992-93, that to enable the community involvement in the process of development. How the Panchayat Raj system can be more decentralized, where the people's voice can reach at the top level. That was the major thrust. See, if you look into some of the definition of different thinkers, the Bank is a prominent social scientist who defined that the community participation is a dynamic group process in which all the members of a group contribute. In what sense they contribute? Either resource, in any form of resource they contribute, share, or are influenced by the exchange of ideas and activities towards the problem solving or decision making process. So that means Banki was telling that it is a dynamic process, group process, where the members are involved in all the process. Either they contribute something, they share their ideas, they share their thoughts, they share their innovative approach in problem solving and decision making process. Because if you will see that if you have experienced in the last week when you presented the kind of your presentation, you have seen that if the individual person could have presented, the presentation could not have accommodated all this aspect, whatever you presented. As it is a group activities and you distributed the task among all of your group members, and each and every member of your group contributed something, then somebody took the lead and compiled everything, then the entire presentation was excellent. Because the group should be involved, each and every members of a community should be involved. Because unless and until we create such an atmosphere for the involvement of each and every members, then the real development cannot be realized. See, food and organizations office, what they told, the process by which the rural poor are able to organize themselves, because it is a major things, the poor, the rural or tribal poor, the urban poor, the poor peoples, to organize themselves, because organizing themselves is a major things. Because generally what happened, if you look at the most of the tribal communities in the, specifically in our country, they never, specifically whether it is tribal or non-tribal, Dalits, and you will see that mostly the downtrodden peoples in the society, the poor people in the society, they never raise their voice. They accepted, they will accept whatever is happening by giving a kind of, for the namesake, they always tell it is written in my law. They always praise or blame their law and accept everything. So they never raise their voice. So that's why I always tell that in the, it's not that they are marginalized, rather it is a culture of marginalization. We have developed a sense, we have created an atmosphere usually where the members of a community, specifically the marginal community, have developed a sense of marginalization within themselves. They have developed a sense of marginalization. So it becomes a culture of them, because if you look into Oscar Lewis' culture of poverty, your what the economist has told, he's poor because he's poor. Even in the same thing is also reflected in the context of anthropologist by Oscar Lewis, the culture of poverty. If somebody is poor, you have to understand what are the contribution of the culture. How, because you see, your if whether you are rich and poor, sometimes your mental approach also decide, your mentality also decide. Because generally what happens? How we are calculating the poor? Somebody, does the poor is only confined to the economic rich and poor? The economic ability decides your whether you are poor and rich, or your mental approach decide whether you are poor and rich. Even there are lots of rich class people, but they are mentally very poor. But there are lots of people in the society who are economically very poor, but mentally very rich. So it depends upon what is your approach. And there are lots of the peoples who earn huge money, but they don't know how to spend. As they don't know how to spend, they always have a miserable life like a poor peoples. So means it is also very important. It is not only important that how to earn, rather how to spend also. So that's what there is. So how we can overcome from this culture of marginalization? How we can involve each and every community member in the process of development. That is the major thrust and major emphasis of community participation or people's participation. Participation in community-based organization could help to identify the local priorities, because I have already told you the need assessment. If we involve the community knows the better solution to their problems. The community knows that if tomorrow we'll call a meeting, who will come and who won't come, and they know the solution, how to bring all the community members into one platform. It is not that me or you or somebody else as an outsider know the reality of a society, of other society. So that means the communities are being involved in the entire organizational process, then they can identify their local needs, and then also they can find out that the methods, the source of fulfilling those needs. Because you see, I can go conduct an PRA, participate rural appraisal, or do a need assessment, and prior through need assessment I come to know about your needs. But in reality, that whether your uh, needs are being satisfied or not, whether we have resource to fulfill your needs or not, whether your needs, fulfilling your needs are feasible or not, that is also highly important. Because if we involve the community, if we listen to the community, we can understand the community's perception, community's view that how we can fulfill those needs. They can provide also some solution. No doubt, we can take the help of the local administration, we can take the help of state and central administration, but at the same time, the views of the locals will help us in understanding the real things in the life. So what will happen? It will be less costly if you are involving the peoples. Means the project will be no more linger. You see, in most of the development projects, we found that the development displacement is keep on rising, and we have developed a tendency that the community always have an kind of look the government in a very suspective way. So then there is no proper coordination between the government and the peoples. But if we break that wall and develop a kind of coordination in the community and the authority, then what will happen? Things can be moved fast and things can be resolved very soon. What are exactly the major characteristics of a community participation? So you see, the major characteristic of this community participation is exactly that community to community, they derive the solution, because if the community members will sit together, then they can find out the more problem in their area, then they can develop a cordial relationship with all the community members, and then they can derive a solution to these community based problems because they have the solution. Then the political, cultural and gender sensitivity can be neutralized there. Whether if the community people will sit together, there might be some cultural differences, there might be some political differences, there might be some gender approachment in the community which can be resolved at the community level if they see it. Then ability to apply learning. If you give more emphasis in community participation, then the people will come together, they will learn the behavior, they will learn how to change the principle of life and theories. Then their ability to will be increased to access, support and build the capacities in the community. Their ability will increase. How they can access, how they can get the support, how they can build the capacities in the community. Then their capacity will increase. Their confidence will also increase. Because sometimes what happens, the people who always feel marginal, it develop a sense of culture of marginality. They will develop a confidence. I'll tell you that when I was doing my PhD at early 2000. So during the time whenever I visited some of the tribal areas and asked the people about irrigation management in their own locality, then some of the very poor marginal farmers, the moment I ask them how you are cultivating, what are the major problems you are facing and all, then they immediately take me to the rich class farmers, to the large landholders. Then they used to tell, sir, we are marginal farmers, we have very small patch of land. Sir, if you want to discuss anything relating to this agriculture, this water management, all, please you come, you talk to the large farmers and so, they can give you the better ideas. See, but my thrust was not to discuss with the large farmers alone. My thrust was to how to understand the problems of these marginal communities who are economically, socially deprived in all contexts. But still, they love to be in a very marginalized stage because they have not given an opportunity to express their views. If we create an atmosphere where we can give an opportunity to each and every members of the society, then things can be resolved in a better way. The technical knowledge of the health and other aspects should be taken in a priority in the community development approach. Ability to communicate well, especially to active listening, because if the community members come together, involved in the process of development, then the activities will be more fast. Then ability to facilitate the group meetings. The group meetings should be facilitated. Then programs and managerial strength should be increased. Organizational development should be expertized. Ability to advocate for and defend community-based solution is also highly essential. We have to look for the how we can resolve this community problem, how we can bring a solution to the community. That should be our main thrust. So now we say, what are those level of participation? Because we have to discuss about the level of participation. The level of participation may be, because generally if you look into the level of participation, there are various types of participations, but mostly we tell active and passive. Passive all of you know, and active also you know that what is active participation, what is passive participation. We'll discuss about some of the very kind of level of participation at a community levels. So you see, first is nominal participation. So it means nominal means I'm just a member of a group. You see, there are lots of organizations are being built up where the community members are not well aware about their role, function, and what is their objective of the group. Rather, they always just, even they are not aware that they are a member of the group. Nominal means only they are the member of the group. They have no role. They have never participated in any process of development, anything. Then another is passive. Passive means being informed of decision. So passive means, suppose I am a member of a community, only the decision whatever is being taken in the meeting, that is only circulated, and I received a mail or I received a pamphlet, I received a post, and I come to know that this is the decision is being taken. So means I have no role in that. Then another is consultative. So consultative participation here, I am being asked to give my opinion on a specific matter without guarantee whether my suggestion or decision will have any influence in the community. See, so means I am being consulted, I am being asked to give my opinion. That's all. But I am not sure whether my opinion is being taken or not. Then I act specific. Being asked to undertake specific task. Active specific means a specific task is being given to a member of a particular community, to member of a community, that you take this task, you do it. So means and duty is being assigned. So there somebody has to be very active in a specific task. Active and interactive, another level of participation. Expressing the opinions, whether or not being asked, taking initiative in other sorts. Means there are some people who express their opinions. It is not necessary that they are being asked to give their opinion. Rather, they always give their opinion involved in all the process of development in a particular activities, and they keep on giving their suggestions always. Whether their suggestions are being well taken or not, that does not matter, but they are completely involved without any invitation to be suggested. Then interactive, through empowering, it is more interactive, having voice and influencing capacities in the decision making process. There are some peoples who are very active in the meetings and they are very dominating. Voice to influence the others, They argue with a justification and then they resolve that, okay, so means whatever I am thinking that should be implemented, and they know how to influence the others. So these are the various level of participation. Anybody any doubt till now?
No, sir.
Okay. So what about the other student? Why they are not attending the class?